Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Cornwall Record Office here at Truro for a Christmas special edition of David's Dazzling documents. One of the great things about Christmas is music and singing, whether it's church or chapel or even in the pub. A good sing-song is part of what Christmas is all about. On the table today, we've got some examples of some of the carols in our collections. And in about the early 1800s, about 1816 to 1817, Davis Gilbert of Tredray in St Erth and Eastbourne in Sussex sent out missionaries to collect some of the Cornish carols that were surviving and known at that time. We have in this particular volume, for example, a letter from John Davy of St Just, dated 1825, and he says to Davis Gilbert, "The foregoing tunes were written by me about 3 months ago, with the view of transmitting them to you against next Christmas. They are chiefly in one part only, in manner as they were formerly sung in the parish of Zenner, and are pricked off all by memory, except the 6, which I copied from a book which I have in my possession for more than 30 years. And if we turn back slightly, we have a beautifully written example of the actual tune. And the words are, "Now when Joseph and Mary were to Bethlehem bound, they in travelling were weary, yet no lodging they found." And the carol goes on. Different hands of writing here, and different carols, some with quite very neat writing, others with much more not so well-formed letters, but all good examples of what was being collected together as carols sung in Cornwall in the early 1800s. So here is example by Zachariah's voice. "Sing all, sing, daughter of Zion, for Jerusalem's King cometh to thee assuredly with life everlasting." Some of these, of course, would not be known today and were sung in any church or chapel. And then, as a result of all of this collecting, Davis Gilbert, who was a very good antiquarian scientist, a bit of an all-rounder, produced and printed in 1822 the first edition of Some Ancient Christmas Carols with the tunes to which they were formerly sung in the west of England, collected by Davis Gilbert, with some assistance from others, of course. This is a copy of the first edition of 1822. The book was actually reproduced in the next year, again, second edition, 1823. So we have some of the words that we saw in the other book, and also some of the tunes that were used and printed out at that time. One of the great traditions of Cornish carol singing is there are local carols, and some of us will have sung the carols well known, like the ones by Thomas Merritt of Iluggan. Some of the lesser well-known carols are represented here in our collections at the Cornwall Record Office. For example, here on the table we have the original manuscript of John Rogers, who was a St Agnes boy, and he wrote some Christmas carols for use around the late 1800s, the early 1900s. This is his original book. We have on the front cover his name, rather faint, but John Rogers of St Agnes. This is one of the St Agnes carols that would have been sung in the early 20th century, "Ring, ring the bells." And in some of the St Agnes mines, we're told that when the men came up to the top of the shaft at the end of a shift, they would start sometimes impromptu by singing music and sometimes carols around Christmas time. And it is said that one of the St Agnes carols was actually first written out on the top of a mine dynamite box in the late 1800s. And we think it's possibly this one, "Ring, ring the bells." Do enjoy your Christmas. Do enjoy the festive time. And on behalf of the staff here at the Cornwall Record Office, I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Nadelik Lawan ha blethen naweth da.